going to show you how to make this semi-bezel solitaire ring with platinum and 18 karat yellow gold. This is a 2 carat diamond, and the customer is going to wear it with these two side rings. So it looks pretty dynamic when it's all together. During the manufacture process, I'll show you a really clever way to make the bezel without any solder joints involved. I've got 3.8 grams of scrap platinum on the underside of a crucible. You can't put flux on platinum, it doesn't oxidise, so you don't need it, and it'll just mess up the metal, so make sure it's clean. And it's going to go white hot, so you won't see much there, but just keep it in a nice consistent ball you need to wear. And now you have to let it cool. You just want to form it enough to get it into the rolls. Now you can see the powdery stuff come off on the bottom. Roll again, you can see it's forming a slight oval, and again tighten up, through again, turn it again. So seems to be the perfect centre there, and I'm going to be as economical with the metal as possible. Now we need to firmly identify the dead centre of the disc, and I'm not going to stamp this on steel because I don't want it thinner in the middle either. So I'll just use the smallest doming punch I've got. And this is probably the last one I'll be able to get it into for my doming, and just make sure it's perfectly level. I'm now using my 17-degree collet block, and I'll just find a hole that fits in quite nicely. Now I've got the punch I used earlier just to make that indentation, and it still fits in there quite nice and comfortably. Now it's really important to strike. Now what will happen also is the middle part here that I'm punching will weaken and eventually break through, which is fine because we need a hole at the bottom anyway. So I'm happy to say it's staying straight and consistent, and the curve on all sides of the setting, or what will be a setting, is looking pretty good, so I'm happy with that. And there's still a lot of weight in the setting. If you remember, I started with 3.8 grams. It's not going to be that heavy when it's finished. So it's level on top, and now I'm going to get pretty forceful because it's going to still go through a lot of work, so I don't mind using my steel pliers to hold it. Make sure I'm dead centre, and only took one smack and it's gone right through, so I'll file that off, otherwise we'll lose bits in there, and I can retrieve anything that take off. And now when I put the punch in, it's going to help to form the bottom of the setting that was very rounded. So I'm keeping the punch perfectly square to the setting, turning around as I go, and this will help to line everything up later, so when I file it flat I won't really need to use my dividers. I know that the bottom is perfectly square to the top. The setting's ready now, just clean it up and I can get on with the shank. And the stone is actually just right on the very edge, the inside edge. I did open it out a little bit more because the customer really wants a very visible rim on it, so it's going to almost be gypsy set. But before I start, I'll anneal it, and it actually weighs 9 grams, so a bit more than I anticipated. Work on a 20% loss and make my rolls do pretty much all the work. So we'll see how true that will be if it starts off at 9 grams. Let's see if we get the ring when it's all shaped and ready to around about 7 grams. Widen out the shoulder and head parts of the ring still. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll out the ends the normal way, long ways, and then just put the middle bit in short ways. Now when I do that, I'll take it over to my flat stake and squeeze it back in as well, so that saves on filing later on. So just roll up. And we're not too far off now. Just work on the ends again. And just put a little bit more width in the centre. So it's not far off where it should be. And what I'll do is take the ends off. Well, you can do it without doing this. It's just it gives the wire I'm using. What I'll do is I'll lay a piece on top. And if you get the balance of heat right, it should just find its way quite nicely. Don't let it curl up from the end and blob. So where it's at now is really good. I can just put a bit more heat onto it either side of the joint, make sure it runs. Just blobbing a little bit, but that's alright, there we go. The trick is to make sure that molten metal has gone all the way through, and if it hasn't, just apply a bit of heat underneath. I can see a shine there. That's done its job quite good because I want it slightly rounded. I've got it to the same width as the sample ring, and I'll shape the outside inwards, so I'm just carefully trimming around, and part of cleaning up the shoulders and the setting, because it's a lot easier now than later on. I'm going to be using this soldering ring clamp to keep everything in place as I solder it. Just run my flux around. Allow it to run round as far as possible, then have a look on the other side. I need to add some solder there as well. Okay, now just check that it's gone around the shoulder side on both sides. That looks okay. That is a matter of choice, although it makes it a lot easier to maintain the ring. And if need be, take some measurements as you go. Spot, this is going to be opened up wider, so I can always move it around if need be. And I'll cut 45 degrees going down the setting. And I will have another consultation with the clients to make sure that they don't want it widening. So I've got the ring ready for setting, and I'll show you how it looks with the full complement of side rings and diamond on top. So pretty magnificent. But so that I can just move it about as I need to. come to this point here, it could pick up traction and rip around, so being very, very careful. I'll do that on both sides. So just to show you where it's at, just tucking in one side there and pushing down this side. So I'll just cut away at one side. Now that's pushed the bezel further onto the stone, tightening it. You'll see it will still wobble around a little bit, but I'm going to change the angle and hammer downward now, and that should tighten it up. So the pressure is outward this way, so it's tucking the metal onto the stone and just filling any gap that's there. There we have it, set, polished and finished, and ready for the customer. Hope you enjoyed.